Good afternoon, everyone. Sri Sanjay Bhattacharya, Secretary CPV and OIA and Chairman ICM. Sri Abagani Ramu, Joint Secretary OIA 1 and CEO ICM. Distinguished speakers and guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Priyadarshika Subba, and I take this opportunity to extend a very warm welcome to all of you for the celebration of ICM Foundation Day. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here today to not only mark and celebrate a milestone for India Center for Migration, but to put this together for the thought leaders of our ecosystem that have supported ICM. I, on behalf of the entire team at ICM, want to thank your presence here, and I welcome you to join us in this celebration as we work towards charting pathways for this mighty think tank and for the realization of our collective objectives. So, a very loaded event ahead of us, and we have a stellar panel joining us here today. We have Sri Sarat Das, DG Special Envoy to India and Bhutan, Professor Binod Khadria, former professor at Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor Amarjeeva Lochan, Deputy Dean, International Relations, University of Delhi, and Sri Shyam Parande, Secretary General, Pravasi Bhavan. Just a few announcements before we begin. Please kindly mute your microphones during the session so that we can assure a better video and audio quality. The relevant buttons can be found at the bottom of your screens. We have some time allotted for the interactive session, so you may indicate your queries and observations on the group chat, and we will try to take all of them up during the session. And so without much further ado, may I now kindly request Secretary CPV OIA and our Chairman Sri Sanjay Bhattacharya to deliver the special address for this marked occasion. Thank you, everyone, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Priyadarshika. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, colleagues, dear friends, this is indeed a very special moment, and I'm delighted to be with all of you at the ICM Foundation Day. India Center for Migration's Foundation Day is being commemorated as one of the India at 75 events. So this is a very proud moment, and it's a shout out to the entire team at ICM, the Governing Council, and all the collaborators who have worked with ICM. As we know, the India Center for Migration was set up through the approval of the Union Cabinet on the 27th of March 2012. It became a research think tank, which was focused on bringing about a realization of the broad mandate on migration-related issues, which included research, capacity building, training, and awareness generation programs regarding to international migration. Since its inception, ICM has worked closely in association with the Ministry of External Affairs, and in fact, it has served many of its policy initiatives, and it has broadened the objectives and priorities on diaspora and migrant issues. In addition, the ICM has also collaborated closely with the UN and its agencies, as well as with the European Commission and many of its institutions. And finally, in the domestic sphere, ICM has worked closely with several academic institutions, such as the Center for Development Studies, TISS Patna, Jamia Millia University, University of Hyderabad, and the Indira Gandhi National Open University. And we are very proud that very recently, ICM was recognized as an observer in the Global Forum for Migration and Development. Over the last several years, ICM has made tremendous contributions to the identification of emerging country and sector-specific employment opportunities abroad, the identification of labor gaps in overseas labor markets, and requisite skill sets that are demanded overseas for fulfilling this gap. ICM has also contributed to the programs and proposals for skill development and skill upgradation, very often in collaboration with professional bodies as well as the private sector. And this, in many ways, has helped the government's efforts to make India the skill hub of the world. ICM is the nodal training institution for the pre-departure orientation training, which is applicable, as you know, for migrant workers before they go overseas. And in this, it collaborates closely with several state governments as well as other agencies. Over the last several years, ICM has organized over 20 workshops where more than 900 people, resource persons, have been trained to become master trainers. And these PDOT centers, which are 30 number across 11 states, have now imparted training to almost 1 lakh workers who have gone overseas, providing them with the first set of basic soft skills when they go overseas. But what we have tried to do through ICM, and they have propagated this idea of an enhanced skill set for Surakshit Jai, Prashikshit Jai. And in this recognition, we have now realized that it is important to expand it to other countries as well as make it specific skill set, sector specific. And ICM has been working on this as well as taking advantage of the COVID pandemic situation, developing an online module for the PDOT dissemination. In many ways, ICM has been at the core of developing a range of publicity material on awareness building for safe, legal, and today also smart migration. These available materials are also seen on our website, and many of them are available on eMigrate, which is one of our platforms. In recent times, they have developed material for aspiring women workers and also for law enforcement agencies. And these are very critical for the various stakeholders in determining people and to determine the processes by which they go abroad. As we said earlier, ICM is engaged in implementing several projects with UN and other agencies in the policy-related areas. It represents the Ministry of External Affairs on the project developed under the aegis of the Joint Declaration on the Common Agenda on Migration and Mobility, CAM, between India and the European Union. And in this context, ICM, along with ILO and the International Center for Migration Policy Development, ICMPD, have developed a range of material which is of great relevance for both of us. This project has produced information material on students, talent mobility, social mobility and security, migration governance, and several informational handbooks. Several of these have already been produced in the past and have bridged the gap that is necessary for people who are wishing to go overseas and in the kind of information that they have about the conditions abroad. Recently, ICM has also entered into a collaboration with IOM on strengthening data-informed and migrant-centered management frameworks in India. This is going to be a very important exercise for us as we move into more evidence-based migration policy and to help us in developing a data management system, as also to look at what are the new opportunities for labor movements overseas. As we all know, migration is as old as human history, and it is in a way a response to our desire for adventure, of socialization, and also for advancement. And in this, it brings benefit to both sides, the migrant as well as the receiving society. We have seen that economic developments and technology innovations have altered the nature of migration as well as the priorities and the patterns in which it flows. COVID-19, of course, brought this into very sharp focus and has impelled us to be much more connected to stay abreast of the developments in the migration sphere. And in this, we have found that ICM has adapted so admirably over the last year in creating a web-based structure where it has been able to invite discussion with all stakeholders right through last year, so that we have a much broader discussion on migration-related issues, so that international migration becomes an informed subject where people can deliberate and look for better policy options. As you're aware, the eMigrate is MEA's key flagship project for data on Indian migrants, and other stakeholders are also captured in this particular platform. It is aimed at making the immigration process faster as well as more transparent, and it provides the government with a comprehensive and online database. But it is primarily for the situation that is in with regard to the ECR country and categories, which is the immigration clearance required categories. With rising intricacies of migration and mobility flows, there is now an ongoing process to upgrade eMigrate to version 2.0 so that we can better capture the data, so that we can automate the current migration process and the ecosystem and have a better informed data system which will assist policy as well. In increasing MEA's outreach in many of these policy measures, ICM has played a very crucial role. As the Ministry of External Affairs think tank on matters relating to international migration, ICM has provided relevant policy inputs for existing and emerging destinations for skilled Indian migrants and is actively involved in developing a manual that caters to currently for specialized skilled workers, which is a new agreement that we have entered into with Japan. ICM has also contributed to the facilitation of evidence-based policy making in MEA in many diverse ways, as we discussed earlier. It has initiated and supported the study of monitoring and an analysis of the trends and dynamics of international labor markets, problems faced by migrant Indian workers and in India and abroad, and has identified the best practices of other labor-sending countries and recommended policy options and initiatives. In many ways, ICM has been the brain of the Ministry of External Affairs for its international migration policy formulation. ICM has provided a range of practical handbooks for stakeholders in the field of migration. This is very, very critical and useful. And today I'm very happy that ICM is to release two of these knowledge products. The first, which is a report on the impact of COVID-19 on India's international migration. And this is a project report which has been prepared by Dr. Surabhi Singh and Dr. Priyadarshika Subha. And the second, which is a student handbook for studying abroad. And this is a comprehensive manual which will help the students be much better informed as they go overseas. I'm very delighted that on this very Foundation Day, we have with us many of our stakeholders, including members from the Governing Council, who will be discussing the perspectives on management, perspectives on migration and diaspora. And we really look forward to their contributions and their remarks. Let me once again warmly felicitate ICM on the Foundation Day, and I wish great success to all your endeavors. And I have special congratulations to all the team members of ICM. Dr. Surabhi leads a very young, compact team of assistants and interns, and we wish you great success. And we hope that you go into new areas, because it is our hope and dream that you will make ICM the premier think tank on all international migration related issues. So with that, congratulations on Foundation Day and all the best for the days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that very special address. The hope is that we at ICM reach new high points with your able guidance. Now, may I please request you to launch the new knowledge products from ICM? With these publications, ICM aims to create greater awareness, mobility of Indian workforce, as well as student community aspiring for opportunities abroad.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir. With a wrap on that segment, may I please request Dr. Surabhi Singh, CAO ICM, to begin today's discussions on perspectives on migration and diaspora. Once again, thank you for your attention, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Priyadarshika. Thank you, sir, Secretary CPV and OIA, Chairman ICM, for those thoughtful initial remarks. It really encapsulated the work that ICM has been doing over the past years and has tried to do even more vigorously over the past 1 year. As to this panel discussion on perspectives on migration and diaspora, the idea that we had was many of you have been with us for a long time, right from the inception years. And some of you are part of our governing council. There are friends and colleagues across various international organizations who have been associated with us in various capacities. There are friends from the academic community, research organizations. So as Secretary very rightly pointed out, the idea is to make international migration a more informed subject. So to make that a more informed subject, what we really aim to do through these discussions and today as well is to generate new ideas, new thoughts as to where the research should be heading in the field of international migration and what work ICM and on the part of MEA's think tank may take as we proceed forward. So what I plan to do in moderating today's discussion would be to give each of the 4 speakers who are here today 10 minutes each. At the end of 8 minutes, I would gesture 2 minutes left. And I would humbly request you that you please stick to the time so that we can have others also share their opinion and thoughts on their association with ICM. And as we go forward, where they see the avenues for collaboration or new ideas and thoughts on where research should be oriented towards. So with those few remarks, I would first invite our first speaker for the day, Shri Sarad Das, who brings with him years of experience of being there as Chief of Mission in various countries of South Asia. He's currently Chief of Mission of IOM Sri Lanka and also dons another hat of DG Special Envoy to India and Bhutan. And in that capacity also monitors and oversees work of IOM India office. So, sir, I would request you to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Dr. Surabhi. Sri Sanjay Bhattacharya, Secretary CPV-OIA, and also Chairman of the ICM, India Center for Migration. Sri Abagani Ramu, Joint Secretary OIA1, and also CEO of the ICM. And Dr. Surabhi Singh, CAO of ICM. Professor Khadaria, JNU, Professor Lochan, the Deputy Dean of the University of Delhi, and Sri Parande, Secretary General of Pravasi Bhavan. Distinguished delegates and participants in the event. Let me just first start expressing my heartfelt congratulations to all of you, the ICM team, the chairman, CEO, and the entire team of ICM. On behalf of myself and also the Director General and the colleagues of IOM in India, I would like to express our congratulations and all the very warm wishes on this occasion. It's a great privilege and honor for me to be a part of this discussion today. Because from the very beginning of IOM's being a legal entity in IOM with India, Government of India taking membership to IOM Council, IOM has worked very closely with the India Center for Migration, which from its previous incarnation actually, when it was The government of India initially thought of creating a structure to look at the overseas employment more closely. That happened simultaneously with the government of India joining or taking membership to IOM in 2008, when the India Council for Overseas Employment was established. I have some fond memories from those days where IOM started working together closely with ICOE and later since 2012 with ICM very closely. In the recent past, I mean, we have been associated starting from a labor market research in 6 European countries, which was initially targeted or done between ICOE and IOM, was to identify the sectoral priorities that could and sectoral opportunities that is prevalent in different European countries, destination countries, and where how the supply side from India could be further strengthened to support or to meet up the labor market requirements in these destination countries. We started working together on the skills development, as Honorable Secretary was mentioning. I mean, ICM has done a remarkable job in contributing to the skills for migration initiatives in India. IOM feels proud and privileged that IOM had played a small part with ICM in trying out some national models in the northeastern region. And also to mention about the whole recent initiative of pre-departure orientation training targeted at the Gulf Council countries, where IOM is really delighted to see that ICM has taken it to a different level by expanding the outreach to different countries, different provinces or states in India, and also expanding the scope of the manual to reach out to different countries. And one of the, as we just saw the launch of the Students Mobility Handbook, I mean, which is another cherry on the cake that is in the same line of empowering the people before departure so that the vulnerabilities at the destination countries could be reduced. Being associated with ICM as an IOM representative, I would like to just sincerely record my appreciation, highest appreciation for the efforts that ICM has put in supporting or supplementing the government of India, particularly the MEA, as initiative in improved labor mobility here. There are two aspects I would just like to highlight here. One is just to suggest that research, study, and policy discourse has been done by the organization, while the good part or the best effort has been to bring in multi-stakeholders to provide inputs and support the ICM's initiatives and efforts. So the multi-stakeholder engagement with associated research study has been one of the major initiatives that ICM has taken despite all its limitations of working with the small team and all. I have seen the colleagues working extra hours to make to meet up to the expectations of the MEA and the Government of India. I would like to make especially commend the work of ICM, especially during the COVID pandemic. I mean, where a lot of thought-provoking initiatives or discussions and consultations were organized by ICM to see how best to address the situation and to fit into the Government of India's policy thinking and policy perspectives and discussions. Particularly the pandemic, which a single pandemic which created three different crises, whether it is a health crisis or a protection crisis or the socio-economic crisis for the people on the move. ICM was swift enough to organize platforms for smarter policy dialogues and also to provide public discourse on how to address the impact of COVID-19 during this year or challenging year and time. I would just like to take this opportunity. I mean, Honorable Secretary has already highlighted the key achievements that has been made by the ICM during the years. I would just like to focus on some of the areas where I think, I mean, ICM could further look going ahead, because I mean, it is close to a decade of your being as a team and as an institution. So of course the expectations also from all stakeholders increases. While migration particularly focused on the labor migration, the semi-skilled and low-skilled migration has taken a lot of ICM's focus to date, whether focused on the labor market assessment, skill development, pre-departure orientation trainings, data, ethical recruitment practices. These are highly commendable. At the same time, I mean, recently, as Mr. Secretary just mentioned, I mean, the moving into the second segment of the community or migrant community, the students, which constitute a major chunk of migrants from India. Obviously, I mean, the ICM has gradually started moving to look at the requirements of the students and all, which could further be expanded. Of course, there is a lot, there is still a higher expectation from you as ICM team to look at the diaspora engagement, how to make best use of diasporas, Indian diaspora, which is one of the largest in the world, to see how best the diaspora can contribute to the development of the country. In particular, I would just like to mention that starting from the migration cycle, if we look at one of the major issues and concerns that probably ICM can take into consideration is to see at the cost associated with the migration. I know that definitely, you have already done a lot of consultation and studies around the ethical recruitment practices. But at the same time, how much actually as a migrant, how much am I investing in my migration cycle? Because often what happens, if we look at particularly the labor migrant segment, they have to either mortgage a piece of their land or borrow some money to go for the migration cycle, for the migration journey, to start the migration journey. If we need to start reflecting, or ICM could start focusing on this group of people to see how does it impact their lives and the work. Because what happens is that if I, as a migrant worker, if I am not able to recover the cost of migration that I invest before taking up the journey, then obviously I would try to become a irregular migration, and I will move into other means for continuing the journey abroad until I recover the cost. So that aspect probably requires further reflection and would require ICM's attention to support better policy initiatives by the MEA. The second area, of course, Honorable Secretary has already spoken about the data. I don't want to further expand on that. IOM feels privileged and honored that we have agreed, or we have started the partnership with ICM to see where are the data gaps and how best we can work together in improving the data management system, which will ultimately lead into the policy improvements. So that is already that has already been discussed. So I would just move into the other area where I think there is a need for ICM to focus is to look at the remittance management. I think remittances are one of the major contributors, both in terms of the foreign exchange reserve and also for the economic development. Because in the whole migration decision, the migrants start focusing on, one of the key drivers for out migration is to look for better opportunities and better income and better revenues. So, the remittances that comes back to the country, probably how is that remittance being used both by the migrant workers to migrant receiving household, remittance receiving household, as well as how that migrant, how much of it is going into the larger development initiative of the country that need to be assessed and probably can support the government of India in further formulation of its or expansion of its policies. Linked to this is the financial literacy part. I mean, the migrant receiving households need to be educated financially in order to better manage the remittances that the household receives and how effectively to employ it for asset creation and also employment generation at the community level. The third area of focus in my thinking is to look at the capacity gaps at the destination countries. I mean, we have several Indian embassies and consulates providing extensive range of services to the migrants at the destination country, particularly focused on the protection angle. So, I mean, do we have the right people and right capacities there, and what are the gaps, and how those gaps could be filled in by the government of India? I mean, from the by MEA to capacitate the consular officials and who are responsible for the protection measures of the people at the destination country. Then the other area of interest or my recommendation, the other area would be around the reintegration of the people. I mean, once the migrant workers complete their cycle of migration and return back, they come back with a lot of skills and also resources, including financial resources. How do we help them to have a proper reintegration back home after the journey and the contribution that they have made to our economy? How best we can help them with the reintegration at the once they are back home, while making effective use of their the new skills and new skill set that they might bring into the country. This is another area probably ICM could think of getting involved and engaged. The last area I would think is that, I mean, I'm glad and congratulations to the ICM team on being an observer to the Global Forum for Migration and Development. But in this light, I would suggest your consideration to become a part of other regional and global platforms like the consultative processes and the forums that is available, where you can probably take some of India's lessons learned and best practices for dissemination and sharing with other member states, while benefiting from the lessons that has been learned by the other stakeholders that you can bring home back. With that note, again, my most sincere congratulations to ICM team and Mr. Chairman and CEO on this occasion for the commendable job that you are doing. I hope, Dr. Singh, I am on time. I just want to stop here and be available for any further discussions and clarifications. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's a great privilege and honor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We did note some of the points that you have rightly mentioned where they require more deliberation. For instance, we did a panel discussion on recruitment cost, and we have been taking initiatives to see how ICM can contribute towards making recruitment process better for the benefit of all the stakeholders involved. Remittance is definitely one area where we seek to do more work on. But those are all points well taken. Now we move on to the next speaker of the day, Professor Binod Khadaria. He's a retired professor from Jawaharlal Nehru University School of Social Sciences. Professor Khadaria has recently edited the World Migration Report 2020, and he has been a Fulbright senior doctoral research in the US. He has been director of International Migration and Diaspora Studies Project in JNU while he was there, and he dons various hats. He has been on the editorial boards of many journals, has written extensively on migration issues, be it student migration or labor migration related issues. So we look forward to hearing some of his insights on his association with ICM and his thoughts on current labor migration trends. Over to you, Professor Khadaria. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Surabhi, for your kind invitation. And I'm in very good company, esteemed people, Secretary Sanjay Bhattacharya, Joint Secretary Mr. Ramu, Dr. Priyadarshika Subbu, whom I had met as one of the young researchers, my co-panelists, and dear friends. It is indeed an honor and privilege to be invited to speak at the Foundation Day of ICM, the India Center for Migration. Dr. Surabhi, of course, has mentioned just now that I should certainly share about the information about my association with the ICM and talk about labor trends and the role of the ICM in it. The occasion, the Foundation Day, is a landmark occasion of any institution, and so it is for the ICM too. And it takes me down the memory lane. I should say the genesis of my association with ICM was actually anticipated in my association with the High-Level Committee on the Indian Diaspora that was initiated by Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 1998. And the report came out with, I think, in 2000, 2001. I was a member of one of the subcommittees of the High-Level Committee. What followed the report of the committee was the establishment of the MOIA, the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, in 2004, which was preceded by, in the previous year, by the celebration of the first Pravasi Bharatiya Divas in 2003. The first secretary of that ministry, that young ministry, Sri Krishna Kumar, had the vision to constitute a committee of the academics with the objective of promoting research on Indian diaspora. And I was part of that committee. There were other members, senior members from JNU and other institutions. He persuaded me particularly to propose a research unit at Jawaharlal University, Nehru University, and this materialized as a 2.5 crore rupees project at that point in time. I had proposed 5 crore, but I got half of that. And we called it, as Surabhi had mentioned, the IMDS, the International Migration and Diaspora Studies Project. That very year, 2008, that very year, the predecessor of the ICM was established. The proposed name of the then ICM was Indian Council for the Promotion of Employment Abroad, and I was requested to be the research in charge of that council. So I suggested that the expression promotion should be dropped and a value-free neutral name, Indian Council for Employment Abroad, be registered. And that is what had happened. Subsequently, I think those who are connected with the ICM would know the journey that it has taken so many years from 2008 onwards. And I am reminded by Bhattacharya's lecture saying this was approved by the cabinet in 2012, February. But let me come back to my association, and that soon after 2008, when the project, IMDS project in JNU was launched and the ICM in its earlier form was started, I organized a mega event at Vigyan Bhavan, the JNU MOIA International Conference on India-EU Mobility Agreements in February 2009. While I persuaded my fellow academics from across the world, from 21 countries, and the MOIA convinced many European policymakers to come down to Delhi for that 3-day conference. I think it was a paradigm shift in India's policy making and academia coming together. In fact, it was from among the academic participants of this conference that the future advisors and collaborators for the ICM, like Philip Farg, my friend in Florence, and many others came and took active and keen interest in the development of ICM. ICM at that point in time was at a nascent stage, providing valuable opportunities to young researchers, including a few of my own students who are now established experts in academia, administration, and the NGOs. Side by side, the IMDS project at JNU brought out the first India Migration Report 2009 on past, present, and the future outlook, followed by the second volume on the Americas from the Cambridge University Press. The two volumes were planned, the two subsequent volumes were planned, one on Africa and Europe, and the fourth one on Asia Pacific. But two obstacles cropped up. One was the recession. We should not forget that ICM was born at the time of the global economic recession, and so was the IMDS in 2008. And 2000, so at that point in time, the MOIA, although granted us 2.5 crore rupees over a period of 5 years, it could give us only the money for the first year. So we had that funding crunch. To survive in that was a challenge by itself. Secondly, because of the success of the India migration reports, the young researchers that, like ICM has many young researchers, I too had young researchers at that point in time in IMDS in JNU, they all were becoming successful and they all got permanent jobs. So in the process, it was like, you know, the success killed the project itself because there were no researchers left and we were not knowing what to do. I, however, sustained the project by taking up other projects, one from the Swiss International Development Agency in collaboration with University of Lausanne, the ILO, and the IDSK Kolkata. We at JNU could then publish the book. You must be knowing this, Indian skilled migration to Europe and back in 2014 from the Springer. We also published more than 100 working papers by a mix of renowned experts in international migration and diaspora, mid-career academics, and rising researchers. Subsequently, as the ICM also was growing into a matured institution, as a think tank of the MEA, first MOIA, then MEA, I found it complementing the work on migration and diaspora that had proliferated not only in JNU, including in the School of International Studies, which is my school is School of Social Sciences, but this was also being discussed in international studies. But not only JNU, but in various other newly opened centers of diaspora studies in new central universities, like one is in Gujarat, and there are many others in many places. I'm confident to say today that the leadership and the research team at the ICM that the ICM has built over the last few years, it is poised to arrive as an institute of repute and capability on the world scene of migration and diaspora, adding newer and innovative perspectives. So what next I should talk about is what Surabhi said in terms of the labor trends. I think it's difficult to predict. 10 years ago, United States had predicted a shortage of global shortage of 54.5 million workers, and India having a surplus of 47 million. So 80% was to be supplied by India. But those are quantitative numbers. There is going to be a sea change in the quality of work and the qualifications needed for that. For example, the areas are artificial intelligence, the drone mobile phones that keep your both hands free, robotics, and so on. This is going to affect both skilled and unskilled work. And that we need to take into account in terms of mobility of labor and so on. So these are to be considered like external shocks, like we just have had the external shock of COVID-19, which actually halted the entire world. The mobility came to zero. And those are the kind of things that we need to, anticipate and try preparing ourselves for the safeguards. That is going to be important. And I think ICMs perhaps should think ahead of time and keep its, second and third line of defense ready. One important thing about the role, I think the previous speakers have talked about what Thank
Sir,
you for 2 minutes.
minutes,
Yeah,
sir.
I'll just take 1 more minute. Thank you. So I will say that we should not lose certainly data and analysis and all those fields that have been highlighted are important, but one should not lose sight of the memory. The memory is very important in terms of keeping the history in front of us. And for example, the world of migration and diaspora is going to remain topsy-turvy in years to come. And I can actually mention about history, about memory, that we have had Fortress Europe being called, and then it was opened by Blue Card. We had the nation of immigrants, and that was, disturbed by 9/11, and then the Trump wall came. Why we had the white Australian policy, and Australia became multicultural. We had the Komagata Maru incident, and Canada became multicultural. And we used to say the sun never sets on the British Empire, and then we come across Brexit. It is distancing from the neighboring European Union countries. And we have had our own challenges of NRC, CA, and others that were, affecting the entire country. And then comes the COVID-19 and so on. So we must keep all those things in front of us. I think ICM perhaps would certainly be in a position with the capability that has been mentioned to not only do analysis and reflect on the research, but draw policy conclusion and policy recommendation. With these, let me wish you all a happy Foundation Day, to the leaders, to the young researchers alike, the pallbearers, and the trailblazers. Long live ICM. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really a summary of how ICM was established, the kind of work it did in inception years, and to also pointing out some important areas of intervention going ahead. You also mentioned diaspora, and it was a point that was raised by the previous speaker, Sri Das from IOM. So we have two more speakers who would be covering diaspora related issues. And we are pleased to say that both of them are members of our governing council. Next is Professor Amarjeev Lochan. He teaches history and religions of India with special reference to Indic elements in Southeast Asia in the University of Delhi. Currently, he is Deputy Dean of International Relations, University of Delhi. He is on the editorial board of several journals and has widely traveled and presented papers on around the world. Today, he'll be sharing his thoughts on diaspora in South Asia with us. Professor Lochan, 10 minutes. I think you need to unmute yourself.
Very warm afternoon to all of us, and from my side, I'm very grateful to Dr. Surabhi for giving me an opportunity to interact with you all. I am very grateful to Sanjay ji and Mr. Ramu to have this kind of platform done on the Foundation Day, and my fellow speakers from JNU and other places, including Shri Shyamji Parande. We'll be very happy to learn more about other activities, but today being the Foundation Day, let us look into the foundation, how to make it much more solidified and useful, which has been already so much beneficial to causes of the subject which has been behind the foundation of this Council of ICM. I personally feel congratulations to each of all for this day, because in the Corona time, Surabhi and your team, you have done wonderful job, because arranging meetings online is not that easier at the moment, as you know, but you did it. I have been attending off and on your programs, and I'm sure the ICM's ethos has been going on for this in many, many ways, and I'm very, very happy about that. Regarding Southeast Asia, let me tell before that Southeast Asian diaspora has to be studied in several ways and phases, rather, not only in the sense of modern problems of migration. We do have issues with countries, especially Thailand and Malaysia. regarding the migration of people and some sort of other activities which have not been part of that country's requirement, and some Indians have been involved in certain kinds of things which have given a very different mark on understanding the policy of migration and how to help them out. Similarly, we have to also be careful about understanding that ICM is such a great agency, and it needs to have much wider reach among people going outside India, or once they are there, they are still to be taken care of by us. So that is the question which I'm raising today, how to develop ICM into bigger size and bigger denomination of the work to be done and taken care of. So I'm suggesting 2 or 3 uh, uh, components which will be much more required in the coming decade. We are entering the next decade by next year. Today, we are going to complete 9 years of the first decade. In 2022, we will be having a new decade of ICM. And I'm sure that if we look into these 2 or 3 new aspects which may require our serious attention, it will be very helpful and growth of our council. And then I talk to you about the cases of Southeast Asia. You see, historical past of the areas has great relevance in migrational behavior. If we do give some kind of importance and understanding by creating a vast series of literature on the subject, which may be country specific, it will be very useful for learning the past to know the present and design for future of ICM. This would require involvement of scholars of Indian origin and non-Indian origin together to see how they look into the aspect of Indian migration there. Second point is related to the survival of the Indian communities in these areas. It may be much more severe in the European and American context, but in Southeast Asia, it is not that much serious. But still, they do have certain kind of problems in particular countries in Southeast Asia, especially I'm referring to Malaysia today. Malaysia today is not the same like it used to be 4 years ago, since the new elements and new tension between the two countries has jeopardized many of the common understanding of the two, which is very a subject of great concern to us. And what is happening, the religiosity and cultural behavior of our own migration, of our own immigrants there, we have to see that also in a nutshell. So if we do work on this subject, how to get connected and how to assist their ethos of values or whatever they had before leaving India, they should be supplemented by many ways apart from publication and all, like providing those facilities like that. This is a very important subject. Thirdly, I find that in Southeast Asia, there is a great cultural heritage and linkages. And many of our own ancient texts which are lost have been found, quoted, and used in different time frame of kingdoms of Thailand or Myanmar, or even in Cambodia and Laos. That need to be looked after that, because it may require some of the rich Indian migrants there living and having established business and all to involve in saving and supporting those heritage locations, because they do have Indian connection. So if we at our council level make a database of those Indian people who are there supporting immigration from India also in their factories and works, they may be asked to be a little bit much more contributing to the cause of those Indian heritage and Indic literary traditions, which are very much alive and kicking in different form in those countries. So these are 3 my suggestion about. Finally, coming to specific Southeast Asian area and Indian diaspora, as you know, out of 31 million Indian diaspora, which is bigger at this stage, we don't have more than 1.5 million Indian diaspora in Southeast Asia, Malaysia being the largest one. In this context, we have to see that the people and population of Indic origin or Indian origin of modern times, how they are shaping up, how they are having some sorts of issues which may be understood by us by making field trip study by ICM scholars, interns, whatever you can select, that will help us in knowing lots of issues and problems which may we try to rectify properly. Okay, these are my humble ideas and suggestions. And the coming year and coming decade, for not only for us at Council, but for the country, it is going to be very important to be connected with Southeast Asia, where we have 1/4 of population of the world, if you include India together. And we also do have a greater business opportunities coming up. So I'm sure with these kind of special attention given to Southeast Asia, we'll be doing much better and we'll have much vibrant Council of Migration of ours. Thank you so much. I see Surabhi on the guard. I'm sure I'm just reaching the time limit. Thank you, Surabhi. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, for Professor Lochan. You'll be pleased to know that Southeast Asia is indeed an area where more of our research has been focusing of late. And as Secretary Sir already mentioned, we are in the process of developing a manual for the Southeast Asian countries, especially in light of the new MOC with Japan. Your point regarding how to increase the outreach of ICM among our community abroad can be done is well taken, and maybe we can further deliberate on that. But on that note, I will move on to the next speaker, which is Sri Shyam Parande, who is Secretary at the Seva International Bharat and Secretary General Seva International. He has also been associated with ICM over a long time and is currently a member of our governing council. He also has expertise in diaspora-related matters, so perhaps he can share his thoughts on what role diaspora organizations can play in leveraging India's soft power abroad and how ICM's work can build on from there. Sri Parande, you have 10 minutes. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Surabhi Singh. I take this opportunity to congratulate ICM team for 9 full and successful years of activity the ICM team has performed. There are documents, there are studies, and it really helps a lot for the migrants, labor, and even high skilled labor, those who are going out. It's nice to see that the manual for students has come, because a lot of students, thousands of students, are migrating to various countries for their studies, the graduation and post-graduation also, masters also. So this will be a really a helpful document for them. The other one, of course, we will all be proud of is the study of the impact of COVID on migration. This has to be properly handled by ICM and other bodies, including the External Affairs Ministry, because a lot of migrants have returned to India and will like to re-migrate. So a guide for them will help a great way. Having said that, I'd like to start on a positive note that the migrant community, the Indian diaspora, though we talk of their success and all that, is now very well connected with the local communities in a big way. Through all the COVID year, the pandemic year, the community has responded so well. Just for an example, I'm talking about, because USA has the largest migrant population Indian diaspora population. And 500 of Indian American charity organizations formed a forum to serve the local community. And we'll all be proud to note that these 500 organizations raised $50 million served across 28 states, reached out to frontline workers, even the minority, of course, the majority, frontline workers, doctors, nurses, firefighters, and everybody, and served them. They served 750,000 people. So it's a big achievement. As a matter of fact, Congressman Amy Bera has released the report, and of course, the congressman from Texas has appreciated that. So there is a local appreciation for this kind of activity, but it is not the USA alone. Like in Africa, like in Middle East, all our organizations have supported the local community, apart from helping out the Indian students studying there. So this needs to be, all the reports should be collected and a report published by ICM will be a big document that will help us understand how grounded our organizations are there in various parts. Secondly, of course, we need to look to the future. As I said that for the last 9 years, it has been active. We need to look at comparative study of the diasporas and where we lack or where we are weak has to be figured out so that our migration is in better position and labor going out or the skilled worker going out will have some direction where to go and what jobs opportunities are available across the countries. It might be Europe, it might be Africa, it might be even the Middle East, apart from high skill migration to various developed countries. So keeping this on our radar, ICM should help them relocate in a big way. I feel that as our External Affairs Minister, EAM, Srimati Sushma Swaraj has used to say that ICM should become a big think tank, providing all the information about migration and guiding migration not only within Bharat for Indians, but across the whole of Asia. So it's like that we have expectations from ICM and hope ICM will achieve that soon. Having said that, I would like to again congratulate ICM for giving an opportunity to me to speak. And that's all for the time being. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sri Bharati. Some of the points that you mentioned for us to take action on that, the support and collaborations are important from all our partners, and many of them are present here today in this discussion. So I would now open the floor to various people who have joined us today, if they would like to share some thoughts. Are there any comments or questions or general observations by anybody?
Surti, may I speak? This is Pushpin
Yes.
from TIS.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
So first of all, congratulations on your foundation day. As Professor Vinod Khadaria told you, that you have inherited a very rich legacy. The previous version of the ICM was located in a university, and now it is directly under the MEA. So that, I think, increases your role, becoming more challenging now. Now, because you have to combine both policy as well as knowledge generation. And to put it in other words, now you have to undertake evidence-based policy work. In this regard, my suggestions are the following. One is, of course, to focus on the larger emerging picture, particularly related to employment opportunities, and fill various stakeholders with relevant information. That's one. And the second will, I would suggest that kindly focus on the recruitment process of blue-collar labor and ensure that the process is freed of any kind of cheating or fraudulent practices. That's the second suggestion. And the third one is you can take the lead in building a network of organizations, various institutions, government, non-government, university, intergovernmental institutions, industry bodies, so that they all gel together and ensure that all migration from India to other countries within the region, the South Asia region, and also to other countries outside the region. This is well coordinated. There is exchange of information, there is exchange of knowledge, and all these institutions, they feel that by coming together, they have they actually enhance their capacity. So I think these are very important role for ICM, and you are better placed actually to perform these roles. Thank you, Surbhi.
Thank you so much, sir. Indeed, these are areas where we would be looking to focus on. Recruitment process is a constant point of research as well as active intervention. As to the point about network, we did one consultation on building a migration network, and in the coming months, we are looking forward to building on that, and will soon reach all of you on next steps of taking it forward. I think Sita mentioned that she wanted to come in. Sita, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thanks. So first, congratulations on your Foundation Day and to everyone who's been there through all these years that we've been looking and working with ICM. There are just a couple of things that I thought ICM may want to think of going into the future, though I think some of them may have been raised, but I think one of the things that I do quite often, and perhaps this is something that ICM would like to do, is actually document some of the Indian good practices. There are quite a few, and it would be really to document and share these across forums and such spaces where there is interest to know what India is also doing. So I think that would be one thing that I would encourage you to look at. The other thing that I think would be important is, as the center of helping government make policy, one of the critical aspects is getting migrants' voices in. And I think here ICM can really be the bridge. We often are removed from the migrants, and it would be really critical to hear their voices and get their inputs. And I think this is where ICM can play a really large role in linking policymakers with those who are actually impacted by the policies. So playing that role might be one of the things to also look at. And one more thing, taking a leaf from, some of the work that we've heard of from MEA, looking at how there may be more tools developed to help states strengthen their policy making. The state governments in India, each one of them is playing an active role increasingly in looking at migration. And perhaps ICM could help direct that policy making a little bit better in terms of aligning central and state kind of intervention. So that might be a role also for ICM to take going into the future. And I think some of the work about creating a network has already been mentioned by a speaker previous to me. So that's all I wanted to share. Thanks very much for this opportunity, and congratulations again to MEA and ICM.
Thank you so much, Sita. We have been doing some work on the camp, but going forward, these are definitely some points we can consider. Any other people, or we have a lot of people from academia and international organizations. Any of you would like to come in?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Dr. Suparna from Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, Meghalaya.
Yes, Dr. Bhattacharya, please go ahead.
I'd like to, first and foremost, congratulations on your foundation day. Since India is promoting Actis policy, and we have also noticed that many students now want to go to Southeast Asian countries. So I was interested if you could document the gender component of the migration to Southeast Asian countries. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Anyone else would like to come in?
Hi, Dr. Surabhi. I'm Dr. Suresh Kumar here from Seagull Group of Companies.
Yes, Dr. Kumar, Suresh Kumar, please go ahead.
Yeah. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate ICM team on this ICM Foundation Day. ICM is doing a splendid job on making all efforts to streamline the overseas employment sector. During last 1 year, the ICM has conducted many webinars, thought-provoking, policy making, bringing burning issues in the sector. I would like to congratulate Chairman of ICM, Sri Sanjay Bhattacharya, Sri Abagani Rao, Dr. Surabhi Singh for taking this initiative and always inviting the recruitment fraternity for the discussions and deliberation. We are very much thankful for that, and this forum. This is a forum for us to air the issues and regular interval and involvement of MES and officials on time to time is notable. HRM ministry and ministry should work as partners and boost the opportunities in the field of skill development, skill training, and bringing more opportunities to India. We should work as a team to make India as the skill capital of world. Many speakers have highlighted most of the issues what the immigrants and the stakeholders are facing. And this is the area we need to focus on, the role of foreign employers, the role of Indian missions, and the role of immigrant, etc. has to be taken care. And I request ICM to have a webinar on the forthcoming immigration management bill, because we have been given certain suggestions and so maybe it will be beneficial for while finalizing this immigration management bill to take up the issues of the recruitment fraternity too. And thank you once again, congratulate you for the Foundation Day. Thank you very much, Surabhi.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh Kumar. You have been there constantly throughout our panel discussions and have given us some really practical policy relevant suggestions. So we will definitely take note of that. Are there any more speakers who would like to share their thoughts today?
Dr. Surabhi,
from the participants. Dr. Venkatachalam, do you want to come in here?
Yes. I want to make some observations on immigration portal.
Yes, please.
I just recently I saw, I had a discussion with some of the Indian embassy officials. The e-migrate portal captures only that less than 10% of the people who are migrating abroad. Less than 10% of the people captured in e-migrate portal. Whether IPM doing some research on e-migrate portal so that that e-migrate portal can capture more number of people. That will be really useful for the POE, all over India.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and do you have any other points?
Yeah. This is the only thing I would like to discuss. Because the e-migrate portal, some research on e-migrate portal would be really useful for us.
I think as Secretary Sir mentioned, e-migrate portal is undergoing change and you will see a revamped e-migrate portal soon. But we have taken note of your suggestion. If there are no other interventions from the floor, I'll quickly pass on the mic to the main panelists once, if they have any last minute additions or points to make. I'll first go on to our first speaker. Shabri, yes, okay. Shabri, you will be the last one to intervene. Please go ahead.
No, thanks so much. I really appreciate this opportunity and was wonderful listening to all the speakers and the panelists. And I certainly think we need to hear from all the others from a reflection from the panelists themselves. I'm struck by all the conversations, as Pushpendra sir rightly mentioned, about the rich legacy that ICM brings into these conversations, right? As far as the national perspective is concerned. So big congratulations to MEA, to Secretary Sir, to Joint Secretary Ramu Sir, and to yourself and your team, Surabhi. Surabhi, I don't have anything profound to say because there's a lot that has been said, right? But what I wanted to perhaps touch on is that one point that Secretary Sir made, and that is with regards to ICM being, what was it, the most complex part of the human body, right? The brain. The brain behind a lot of the conversations as far as the MEA is concerned in the context of migration, and when what you provide and what the ICM team provides. To be able to fulfill that requires a really broad network. And there was an allusion to, or alluding to, the migration network. And I think that is fantastic. What you have really been able to achieve, it's only been a couple of years now since I've moved to Delhi and working with ICM over the last couple of years. What really has stood out for me for over the last 1 year is ICM's ability to bring different stakeholders together. And you have achieved that seamlessly almost under Secretary Sir and Ramu Sir's guidance in terms of how MEA and ICM have taken that forward. That, I think, will be a huge momentum that needs to be sustained. The ability to act as a platform whereby there is an open and free dialogue for actors, corporate involved in the dialogue across different spectrums, and the thought process itself. So really, I think that would be a massive step forward in maintaining your role as a platform for what others have to bring forward to the attention of MEA and Government of India. With that, I will stop. Thank you very much, Surabhi. Congratulations once again to all those involved.
Thank you, Shabri. We value our partnership with all of you, and your contribution has been equally crucial in ensuring all of you who are present here and many more who couldn't join us today for this deliberation has been crucial in taking these dialogues and initiatives forward. So thank you all for that. But I would now rotate the floor back to our main panel, and I would request all the panelists to sort of reflect in a minute or so if they have any last minute comments to make. And then I would pass on the floor to our Joint Secretary for his closing remarks. Sri Das from IOM. Sir, would you like to reflect any last moment thoughts on today's discussion?
Surabhi, I would just like to again take this opportunity to reiterate IOM's firm commitment to work with ICM in the days to come. A lot has been spoken, and I think, as you rightly said, we need to have further elaboration and discussion of ideas and work together more bilaterally and multilaterally in the common interest platforms to see what can be done together in the best interest of the Government of India. I would just like to again reiterate that IOM feels very honored and privileged to have worked the journey with ICM as a cousin sister, including sharing the offices for 3-4 years in the interim. So we are there with you, and we will continue to work with you. With that note, thank you again for this opportunity. It has been a great honor. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Professor Khaderia. Your thoughts?
Thank you, Surabhi. It has been very enriching to listen to all the people who reflected on this issue. As an academic or researcher and a long-time associate of the ICM, what I could think of is that to become the real think tank involves a great challenge, and that challenge is to remain equidistant from all the stakeholders. That, I think, is the biggest challenge to carry out unbiased research. The conclusion should not be pre-drawn and then the evidence-based research follows. It's the other way around. That we have to keep as a motto. The evidence has to be the first, and then the conclusion has to follow.
I think that would be the hallmark of any good research. So the point well taken. Now to the next speaker, Professor Lochan. Professor Lochan, do you have any last minute thoughts to share with us?
Thank you so much. This is wonderful to meet all sorts of people here. Thank you so much. What I could just get out of the hearing from so many beautiful comments and also presentation, that if you Shyam Panditji was mentioning about the students' manual which you have prepared, and I was wondering if a certain kind of PDF link and all can be sent so we can distribute around wherever we have global connection. So being one of the part of governing council, let me be used for that. I'll be very happy to be used that way, because sometimes we reach a larger number of communities of students going or gone and ongoing type of admissions also. So please do ask us to do some job. We'll be very happy to serve you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have been trying of late to make the materials that we have developed for the benefit of migrants and get the reports freely accessible, and if need be, reach out to as many states and stakeholders as possible. And we are trying to put all our materials on the website. Other than that, we do take note of your request to share the PDF, and I think we will definitely try and do that.
Especially Dr. Surabhi, student one is very important to us. This is
yes,
the season
yes.
It's a season of migratory words around.
Yes,
migratory
yes,
birds
definitely.
are going away from India, but there are many Indians going out also.
Yes, being located in University of Delhi, we definitely understand, and it will help us grow our outreach among student community as well.
Thank you so much.
So as has been the precedence in our discussions as well, we always come out enriched with all your thoughts and interventions. So today was not an exception, and we really had some good suggestions and inputs. But now I'll give the floor to our CEO and Joint Secretary, OIA 1 Division, Shri Abbagani Ramu, for his closing remarks. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, let me add few remarks after the vote of thanks. But to start with, let me thank all the participants and the panel discussion for joining today's event to mark India at 75, and basically we can hear a lot of information from different speakers. And to start with, let me thank my chairman and secretary for giving a wonderful special address encapsulating all the activities and also the past, present, and future of ICM. And we are inspired by his vision of making ICM as a premier think tank, not only in India but in the world. So we are making all efforts, as you can see, and the ICM team is making all efforts in this direction. We believe that it is not the strategy, but it is the sincerity which takes us to the places and deliver those successes. So that is our motto. With that motto, we have been working together, and of course, we have been depending on you all the way. Different speakers, different panelists, different think tanks, different international organizations have been played very important role in raising the profile of ICM in the last 12 years or so. Of course, we were not there for 12 years, but I could see from the various presentations made by panelists that actually Dr. Sharad Das has taken us through different experiences which we have gone through ICM and IOM together. And IOM has been part of all the main projects of ICM, including PDOT Center, and the one which you study, we are looking at data management and data collection. That is going to be very, very important step. Of course, that it takes some time, but I think that is a very important step in the direction of raising the profile of ICM and actually becoming ICM more useful but to the migrant. And Mr. Professor Binod Kadria has taken really from the inception, from his experience of ICOE days till today. I think that is really wonderful experience for us to listen and gain that knowledge from an experienced person. And of course, Professor Amarjit Lovan, we have a great association working in the same cause in Southeast Asia. So when I was in Southeast Thailand, we worked in with the Idol University to raise the issues related to migrants and of course mainly diaspora. So that is very good to hear from you on the perspective of Southeast Asia. And of course, Shyam Parandeji, and it is we have taken note of your suggestions for furthering the ICM, especially to make it more relevant for the migrants and making more relevant for the students. And the book which we issued on the students today, I think is going to be very useful for them. And of course, in the end, I want to also say that ICM is not just a policy arm of MEA, because you cannot function well with one arm. I think it is two arms of MEA. One is policy arm on the research side, but at the same time, it is equally arm which actually takes our action to the ground level, basically working with the PDOT centers, POEs, developing manuals and seeing that the training program is very effective. In that direction, we have a huge vision, and especially looking at the sector-specific manuals, country-specific manuals, and we are going online PDOT training in collaboration with various POEs and PDOT centers. And our vision of having trained 500,000 migrants by end of 2020 is a huge task. That we are in that direction, and of course, as I said, that we are trying to be as sincere as possible to achieve those targets. So we are also expanding the present PDOT centers from 30 to maybe 60 or more very soon. So these are all the steps we are taking in direction of reaching those goals, where actually we feel that whatever the research, whatever the policies we make and think, it should be useful for the migrants, and it should make their life better. So that has always been the center of our policy, as our chairman envisioned every time, that to say make all the policies and all the efforts migrant centric. So we are working on that direction, and of course we want to acknowledge the support which we have been receiving from all the speakers, think tanks in India, abroad, and international organizations who have been associated with the ICM. So taking us to be more practical, more useful. I can see some of the names, and I also noted the suggestions made by Mr. Pushpendra. And of course, I mentioned about that not only policy, but the action is also important. And the recruitment process, Surabhi has already answered. And we also taken note of Sita's suggestion about delivering something on the good practices. I think that is important. But one last suggestion, I think I also depend on all the members of Governance Council to make ICM more international and having dialogue, maybe through virtual, with other think tanks across the world. Need not be in a kind of a virtual forum, but it may be one-to-one dialogue on discussing and learning the best practices being practiced by both sides. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, and I think ICM is going to be very busy for next few years. And of course, we have taken all the suggestions coming from you, and we look forward to continue the same support and encouragement and guidance from all of you. I think we have a lot of positive energy. I think all of us have a positive energy. Coming together and sharing and supporting will take all of us to a greater cause of helping migrants. With these few words, I thank you once again.
We will close the session, but before that, we would like to have a virtual group picture.